Mahiru Koizumi. We all know who she is, right? She's the man-hating, evil woman. Or is she? How much of Mahiru is this character that we think we all know, and how much of her is a genuinely good person? Well, this is the video to watch. Mahiru was raised in a household where her mother, who was a famous war photographer, is often overseas, and her father is described as being lazy, not having a job, and probably didn't look after Mahiru. Mahiru looked up to her mother and also wanted to be a photographer, although she often thinks to herself that she won't ever be as good as her mother, and that compared to most other people at Hope's Peak, her talent is really useless. Before Mahiru went to Hope's Peak Academy, she attended an unknown middle school. After that, she went to Light Forest Institute with her best friend Sato. She was then accepted into Hope's Peak by Koichi Kizukura, brackets, presumably, the talent scout. Presumably, Mahiru and Sato didn't want to be split up, so Sato's parents paid for her to be in the reserve course so she could see her best friend. Sometime in the year, their teacher quits, and they get a new teacher, Chisa Yukizome, who is an alumni of Hope's Peak. We first see Mahiru in the classroom along with Hiyoko, Mikon, Sonia, and Fuyuhiko. But before that, Mahiru became friends with the fun, high-energy Ibuki Miota, the rude, cold Hiyoko, and the shy, clumsy Mikon. It is then revealed that Mahiru has had a rival since middle school or since high school, Natsumi Kazuryu, which is one of her classmates' younger sisters. It is revealed that Sato often stands up for Mahiru, but when Natsumi goes to punch Sato, Mahiru puts herself in the way, showing that she would rather get hurt to save her friends. A couple days later, Natsumi ends up dead. Sato reveals that she killed Natsumi. Mahiru agrees to keep it a secret, but Fuyuhiko Kuzuryo, Natsumi's older brother, ends up killing Sato in an act of revenge. Mahiru, as an ultimate despair, is seen teaming up with Sonia and Ibuki. She would take incriminating photographs and use it as blackmail. And just as all the other Ultimate Despair members, it is concluded that she killed the person she loved the most, who would probably be her mother. But it is unknown if it actually happened, because her mom could have been overseas as usual, and we don't know what happened to her dad either. Unlike most of the other Despairs who dressed very flashy, Mahiru looks very plain, which could be due to her considering herself not good enough, or because she wanted to blend in to take incriminating photos. Not much is known or seen of her in her despair form. The first time we officially meet Mahiru Koizumi in the Danganronpa series is in Super Danganronpa 2, whatever else, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair. I've heard it be called a whole bunch of different things, at the hotel, where she scolds Hajime for fainting and stating that he should protect the girls. Nagito then introduces Mahiru to Hajime, saying that she is best known for her characteristic portraits. Unlike most other students, Mahiru does not seem worried about their new living location conditions. She also states that most of the other students seem weird except for Hajime and Nagito and a couple others, presumably Hiyoko, Ibuki, and Mikon. Later on, when the class goes swimming, Mahiru joins them. She doesn't swim very deep, staying closer to the beach. In Chapter 1, after Imposter invites everybody to run to the rundown building for a party, noticing that Kazuichi isn't there, Mahiru finds him and drags him to the party. After Mikon trips, Mahiru quickly helps her out, compared to other students, mainly Hiyoko, who was making fun of Mikon, and Ibuki and Teru, who were acting very lewd. Mahiru gets visibly upset that Imposter is declaring himself the leader, thinking that Sonia would be a better option as she is the ultimate princess. Sonia then tells Mahiru that her title is more of decoration, I say in air quotes, and that a leader would protect his men, something that Imposter seemed willing to do. Mahiru then reluctantly accepts Imposter as their leader. During the party, Mahiru is seen taking photos of everyone, which will be important for the trial. During Chapter 2, Mahiru and Hiyoko become best friends after Mahiru teaches Hiyoko how to tie her kimono. And we all know how Chapter 2 is played out, and if you don't, I have no idea why you're watching this. This has, major spoilers. We see Mahiru in the anime HopeSide as her last official appearance. She was helped out of her comatose state, presumably by Hajime Hinata or Izuru Kamakura. We see her and the rest of her class rescue Yasuhiro Hagakure and Byakuya Togami from the rubble of a building, but they barely get any time to rest after that. They are soon confronted by their former classmate Ryota Mitarai's Super High School level squad. When the Super High School level task force attacks, Mahiru helps out Ibuki. When Ibuki is performing, she manages to knock everyone out with her song who is trying to attack her, except for the super high school level marksman who's wearing headphones, blocking out Ibuki's noise. Mahiru quickly steps in, takes a photo, the flash blinding the super high school level markswoman, where she takes off her earmuffs, which causes the super high school level marksman to faint. We then see Mahiru and Ibuki high five. Later on, Mahiru and her class helps Ryota realize that brainwashing the world to hope is a bad idea because then no one would grieve, which would ultimately end up being bad. And since that hope and despair are opposites, they both need to exist. Too much of one is bad and too little of one is bad. Mahiru then happily accepts Ryota back into their class. Shortly after that, Mahiru and the other former ultimate despairs dress up as their despair selves and claim that they were responsible for the final killing game, not Glame, and say that the Future Foundation did nothing wrong. Mahiru and the rest of her class then return to Jabberwock Island. It is presumed that Mahiru, along with the rest of her class, lived most of their lives or the rest of their lives on Jabberwock Island, with the world never actually forgiving them. Only Komaru Naegi, Makoto Naegi, Aoi Asahina, Kyoko Kirigiri, Yasuhiro Hagakure, Toko Fukawa, Ryota Mitarai, Byakuya Togami, Genocider Jill, and Kyosuke Munakata possibly forgiving them. I think Mahiru personally taught us some lessons, such as a bad first impression is okay and you should try and work through that because you might make new friends, and that people don't get to choose how they are raised or grew up, but they do get to choose how they do their future, like this entire game's theme, which is past and future. Like most other characters, Mahiru does not technically appear in V3 unless we count Tsumugi's cosplaying of her. Mahiru does also not appear in any crossovers that I know of, although I would argue that Tojo Kurumi and Tenko Chabashira do share some of Mahiru's personality, but to an extreme. Kurumi is kind of the motherly side that Mahiru has, but to an extreme, and Tenko not liking men is Mahiru's not liking lazy people to the extreme. I plan on making 2 videos of Danganronpa character analyses in a month, except in August where I will only be doing 1 because I want to. The next character I have planned is another hated or misunderstood character, and their name rhymes with Angie Onaga.